Imagine waking up one day to find that your life, the relationships you cherish, the habits you call your own, the decisions you've made, all of it, were directed by a stranger hiding inside you. Not a foreign force, not someone external, but a buried version of you, coiled in the dark like a serpent beneath the floorboards of your mind. You've seen glimpses of it in your anger, in your envy, in those moments when you said, "I don't know what came over me." The truth? That wasn't something that came over you. That was something that came from you. And now, imagine this. Despite all your accomplishments, your spiritual progress, your self-awareness, the deepest part of you remains unfamiliar territory. You may be admired, loved, successful. But beneath the polished persona, there lies a force you've long denied, disowned, forgotten. Yet it has not forgotten you. Carl Jung called this force the shadow, the repressed, suppressed, and disowned aspects of the self. Not just your potential for darkness, but your unlived desires, your rawest instincts, your vulnerabilities, your hidden truths. The shadow isn't only what's vile and shameful, it's also what's vital and true, what you banished in order to fit in, get approval, or survive. But here's the danger. What we refuse to consciously face, we project onto others. We call them the monsters, the hypocrites, the liars. We rage against their lies, unaware they mirror the ones we whisper to ourselves. We point fingers to avoid the mirror. So what happens when the shadow is ignored for too long? You've seen it. The righteous man who falls from grace in scandal. The spiritual leader who preaches light while secretly soaked in darkness. The loving parent who becomes controlling. The activist consumed by the very hatred they sought to eradicate. The cheerful friend who one day implodes under mysterious weight. It raises a disturbing question. Are we really who we think we are? Or are we simply who we pretend to be? Consider this. Who would you be if the world made no demands of you? If no one was watching, expecting, judging, who would you become? What would you say? Who might you hurt, or love, or betray? Could it be that you don't truly know yourself? Not because you haven't looked deep enough, but because you've actively refused to? Culturally, we reward the mask, the persona. We're told to stay positive, to keep it together, to be nice. But these mantras often become cages. What about the darker truths? The resentment we feel towards loved ones, the fantasies we dare not speak of, the grief we've buried so deep we forget it's there? They remain alive inside us, clawing at the walls when we're alone at night, erupting in dreams, panic attacks, Freudian slips, or worse. Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So what if your recurring struggles, self-sabotage, and emotional spirals aren't just random misfortunes, but messages from the shadow? What if everything you've tried to leave behind is precisely what you need to retrieve in order to become whole? There's a certain tragedy in how most people live. Not because they fail to succeed, but because they fail to confront themselves. They spend their entire lives mastering the art of image, avoiding the messy, monstrous parts of their identity. But what if true growth comes not from perfection, but from integration? Not from shining brighter, but from learning to walk into your own darkness without flinching? Somewhere within you lies a locked room. You've placed a sign over the door, "Do not enter." Dangerous, shameful, ugly. But behind it lies parts of your soul you need: energy, creativity, sexuality, vitality, spiritual depth, raw truth. What you call your darkness might contain the very thing you need to feel alive again. So here's the great question. What if everything you fear in yourself is the key to everything you're desperately searching for? But there's a cost to opening that door. To face the shadow is to unravel your identity piece by piece, to willingly destroy the illusion of who you think you are. It's to admit that you've lied not only to others but to yourself, that you are capable of things you wish you weren't, that there's a shadow behind your smile, and always has been. Will you dare to look? Because this is no self-help quick fix. This is a descent, a journey not up toward the light, but down into the underworld of the soul, where monsters dwell but so do angels, where terror lives but so does truth, where the false self dies so the real one can emerge. The journey begins when you stop asking, "How can I become better?" and begin asking, "What have I refused to see?" And what if the most dangerous parts of you were not your flaws, but your forgotten strengths, twisted by years of repression and fear? Let's go deeper. The hidden problem and its psychological/philosophical roots. You've looked away your entire life. When the rage bubbled up at the worst possible moment. When the jealousy slipped out from your smile. When you quietly judged someone for a trait you swore you didn't possess. You called it stress, fatigue, a bad day. But what if that wasn't just emotional noise? What if it was evidence of an inner battle you've lost again and again? Carl Jung saw through the noise of ordinary life, and into the soul of humanity. To him, the human psyche was not a neatly organized structure of reason and will. It was a storm, a swirling ocean of light and shadow. And at the heart of every one of us lives a paradox: the desire to be whole, and the fear of what wholeness truly demands. We don't know who we are because we've made a habit of disowning half of ourselves. The shadow is not just darkness for its own sake. It is everything you rejected in order to survive, psychologically, socially, spiritually. It is the primal self buried beneath your civility. It is your repressed sexuality, your unspeakable fears, your defiant voice that got silenced in childhood, your untamed aggression you were punished for expressing. It's not just evil, it's power unchanneled, desire unmet, truth unspoken. From the moment you were born, you were trained to become someone acceptable. You learned quickly, this part of me gets love, that part of me gets punished. These beliefs earn me safety. Those emotions threaten it. So you swallowed your fire. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You played nice. You obeyed. And something inside you began to die. What the world calls personality is often just a mask. The persona, a term Jung used to describe the version of yourself you created to meet external demands. The good girl, the high achiever, the helpful friend, the loyal partner, the successful, spiritual, composed adult. You wear the mask so long you forget it's a mask at all. But beneath it, you're haunted by a quiet ache, a kind of spiritual starvation. It isn't depression. It isn't anxiety. It's exile. Because the deeper self, the real, undivided, paradoxical self, was never eliminated. It was merely denied. And the more we pretend it isn't there, the more it rebels in quiet, destructive ways. Passive-aggressive remarks, unexplained irritability, self-sabotage, addiction, sudden outbursts, and unexplained fear or hatred toward others. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned of this repression when he wrote, "Be careful when you cast out your demons that you don't throw away the best of yourself." He saw what Jung later echoed, that we become monsters not because we embrace our darkness, but because we pretend it doesn't exist. Modern psychology proves this too. The theory of repression, pioneered by Freud and expanded by Jung, shows how we forcibly forget painful or socially unacceptable urges. But they don't vanish. They become unconscious obsessions. They form the roots of neuroses, phobias, chronic guilt. Imagine locking parts of your psyche in a basement and throwing away the key. You don't hear them anymore, but they hear you. They study you in silence. They bide their time. And eventually, when your life is stable and you think you've escaped them, they find a crack in the floor and rise. This is why shadow material tends to surface at critical moments, just when you're about to change. Just when you're close to connection, intimacy, or transformation, it strikes. You lash out, run away, numb yourself. The connections you crave become threats. The goals you seek feel heavier the closer you get to them. You are, in essence, possessed by yourself. In society, it only strengthens the repression. We live in a culture of manic optimism, of self-help cliches, of toxic positivity. You're rewarded for being happy, stable, productive. There's no room for sacred rage, no grace for grief, no reverence for despair. The negative emotions are seen as illness rather than intelligence. Even spirituality has become a polished performance. Enlightenment is sold like a product. Everyone wants ego death. No one wants ego truth. We chant affirmations while ignoring ancestral trauma. We chase light while refusing to acknowledge we're still made of mud. But Carl Jung believed something profoundly dangerous and profoundly necessary. He believed that real healing doesn't happen in rising above the darkness. It happens when you descend into it. He wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." What? Because to face your shadow is to shatter the illusion that you're always good, always right, always innocent, that it's the world or other people who are the problem, not you. You begin to recognize, the hate you see in others is your unacknowledged rage. The neediness you mock is your denied vulnerability. The manipulation you condemn in others may live in how you twist emotion to control situations without even realizing it. This isn't about blame. It's about power. Because what you've rejected in yourself doesn't just make you weak. It also contains your greatest gifts. The angry child you locked away might also be your fiercest protector. The sexuality you buried might be your capacity for ecstasy. The grief you refuse to feel might be the key to deeper compassion. And here lies the paradox. What feels like the terrifying monster in your basement is often the part of you that loves you most. The part that refused to die quietly. The part still banging on the walls, screaming not to be forgotten. So the real problem isn't that we have a shadow. The problem is that we deny it has anything to teach us. When you defend yourself with phrases like, "That's not me," or "I would never," you don't push the shadow away. You simply tighten its leash. And anything kept on a leash too long bites eventually. The hardest part of this journey is that no one else can walk it for you. No therapist or guru, no perfect partner or parent substitute, no pill or mantra can rescue you from what you must face alone. The descent into your own shadow. That's where we're heading. And it may get darker before it gets lighter. Because now, it's time to explore what happens when you ignore the shadow not just for years, but for a lifetime. The unseen consequences look around you. The shadow is everywhere. It manifests not just in tragic headlines or violent outbursts, but quietly, invisibly, in everyday interactions. It hides itself in boardrooms, in relationships, in social media posts, in therapy sessions. It's laced into passive-aggressive texts, awkward silences, nervous laughter, and moral posturing. It's in the things we don't say, the feelings we choke down, the people we avoid, the truths we never admit, not even to ourselves. When the shadow is ignored, it does not vanish. It goes underground. It embeds itself into the unconscious and begins its silent influence. Subtle, cunning, corrosive. You think you're making rational decisions, don't you? Choosing your career wisely. Loving your partner authentically. Disciplining your children responsibly. But under the surface, something else might be choosing for you. The job you accepted out of fear of failure. The relationship you cling to out of abandonment wounding. The lifestyle you flaunt because you once felt unseen. The kindness you display rooted not in compassion, but in the terror of being disliked. Jung knew that what is unconscious directs our actions more than what is conscious. He saw how unresolved shadow material begins to possess people. Not in the Hollywood exorcism sense, but in more dangerous ways, through self-righteousness, projection, and psychological blindness disguised as virtue. Imagine a parent who was never allowed to express anger in childhood. They grow up to value calmness and politeness. That seems commendable. But beneath the surface, their rage doesn't disappear, it festers. Maybe they don't shout, but they guilt-trip, shame, control, manipulate. Their child feels it but can never name it. The parent remains convinced they are better than most. The shadow smiles quietly. Or think of the influencer who radiates positivity, inspiration, perfection. Always smiling, always uplifted. But behind closed doors? Numbness, emotional isolation, secret eating disorders, quiet panic spirals. The pressure to maintain the light image pushes their darkness deeper until it erupts in private collapse. This is the insidious nature of an unacknowledged shadow. It hijacks your life while convincing you that you're in control. Your shadow slips into the language you use to justify your behavior. I'm just being honest. Translation, I'm projecting my bitterness. It's not a big deal. Translation, I've anesthetized myself. That's just how the world works. Translation, I'm too afraid to confront the truth. We wear denial like armor, and the longer we wear it, the heavier it becomes. And here's the tragedy. We mistake our armor for our identity. Cognitive biases compound the problem. Consider confirmation bias, the mind's tendency to seek out information that supports our existing beliefs and ignore what contradicts them. If your shadow contains a belief like, I'm not good enough, you'll unconsciously seek validation for that belief over and over, sabotaging success, choosing emotionally unavailable partners, staying in toxic environments, and then nodding sadly to yourself saying, see? I knew it. Or projection bias, attributing your own unconscious motives onto others. Jung called it one of the most dangerous psychic processes. See someone you can't stand? A public figure who disgusts you irrationally? A coworker who seems to trigger you more than they should? Your shadow may be yelling. You've likely seen something in them that mirrors what you're not willing to see in yourself. What you most resent in others often reflects what you've repressed in yourself. And it gets worse. On a societal level, the collective shadow becomes culture. Entire groups, communities, even nations can harbor repressed elements. History is blood-stained with examples. Genocide rationalized by moral superiority. Oppression masked as order. Scapegoats created so the collective can avoid inner accountability. We'd rather destroy a mirror than admit what it shows us. The philosopher René Girard explored this concept through mimetic theory, observing how communities often maintain stability by designating sacrificial scapegoats, projecting their unresolved shadow material onto a chosen other, who must then be punished or eliminated. It's no coincidence that conspiracy theories, moral panics, and ideological extremism rise during periods of collective psychic overload. We offload our fear instead of facing it. But the shadow doesn't just shape societies. It shapes time. Lost time. How many years have you spent chasing goals that weren't truly yours? How many relationships were hollow because you couldn't show who you really are? How many times have you censored yourself, not for wisdom, but out of fear? How many dreams died quietly, smothered by shame? The peace you seek, the wholeness you're chasing, will never come through perfection. It comes only through integration. Yet integration is inconvenient, painful, slow. It doesn't look good on social media. It doesn't get applause. It's done in silence, in ugly crying, in apologies that tremble, in journal entries that shake your sense of self. And so most people never do it. Instead, they keep running, keep performing, keep achieving, keep numbing, keep blaming, keep polishing the persona, until one day something breaks. Sometimes it's dramatic, a divorce, a breakdown, a scandal, a near-death experience. Sometimes it's quieter, the slow dawning that life feels hollow, that intimacy remains just out of reach, that no amount of success fills the hole. What they thought was depression was actually a disowned part of themselves crying out for rebirth. This is why Jung said, people will do anything no matter how absurd to avoid facing their own soul. But what he didn't say outright was the price they pay for avoiding it, their life. Not that they die, but that they never really live. They exist, as fragments of who they are, performing on repeat, driven by unconscious scripts, haunted by a ghost they won't name. And yet, there is another path, but it requires something fierce, something tender, something most people don't believe they have. The willingness to say the most terrifying words in the human language. Maybe I don't know myself at all. Let that sentence settle in your bones. Because only when you're willing to say it, can the rebellion begin. The rebellion, how to break free. There comes a moment, somewhere deep in the silence of a sleepless night or the stillness after a heartbreak, when you realize no one is coming to save you. No guru, no parent, no partner, no psychiatrist, priest, or prophet. And instead of despair, this realization cracks something open. A strange, paradoxical hope. Because if no one is coming, then maybe finally you can face what's been waiting inside all along. This is where the rebellion begins. Not the outward rebellion of flags and fists, but the inner revolt, the quiet, scorching defiance against the false self you've spent years constructing, polishing, and protecting. The decision to stop living as a facade and start walking, trembling yet awake, toward the truth of who you really are. Shadow work, true shadow work, is not self-improvement. It's self-confrontation. It's the courageous act of turning inward and saying, "Show me what I've hidden. Show me what I've feared. Show me what I've become by not facing you." Carl Jung was not a fan of comfort. He knew that real transformation involved risk, sacrifice, disillusionment. To integrate the shadow is to risk everything that makes you feel safe. Your identity, your image, your certainty. You must be willing to burn down the house your ego built to discover the soul underneath. But what does that actually look like? It starts in the small moments. You catch yourself judging someone harshly, and instead of blindly doubling down, you pause and ask, why does this trigger me? What part of myself have I disowned that's being mirrored back to me right now? This question, brutal in its simplicity, is the key. The rebel doesn't react. The rebel investigates. Every irritation becomes a clue. Every envy a mirror. Every overreaction an invitation. The rebellion is psychological archaeology, digging into old wounds, unearthing the voices you silenced, your younger selves, your wild desires, your unmet needs, and listening to them without flinching. It can be terrifying. You'll find parts of you you swore you didn't possess. The manipulator, the liar, the addict, the coward, the narcissist, the monster. But you must remember, the goal isn't to feed these parts. It's to understand them, reclaim them, transform them. Because they aren't trying to destroy you. They're trying to teach you. Each shadow aspect is a distorted version of something sacred. A need you learned to shame, a truth you denied because it wasn't safe to speak. Take rage, for example. Left unconscious, it burns bridges, wounds loved ones, or turns inward into depression. But when integrated, that same rage becomes clarity, boundaries, power. It says, I will not be violated. I deserve to exist on my terms. Or take envy. Denied, it poisons friendships, sabotages self-worth. But when held in awareness, envy reveals what you actually desire underneath the false goals you've been chasing to please others. Everything you fear in yourself has a gift waiting behind it. Even your darkness has purpose. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and existential psychologist, taught that suffering without meaning leads to despair. But suffering with meaning can transmute pain into power. Your shadow is meaningful. Not because suffering is noble, but because to suffer consciously is to be reborn. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is a direct refutation of the spiritual bypassing so common today, the belief that if you just meditate long enough, journal often enough, chant the right mantras, you'll escape your darkness. But there is no escape from the self. There is only integration or possession. You must stop trying to get rid of your darkness, and instead start including it. But how? Here's the roadmap of the inner rebellion. 1. Radical self-honesty. Drop the mask. Stop pretending to be more evolved than you are. Admit where you're petty, insecure, manipulative, afraid, needy. It's humiliating at first, but it's also liberating. Finally, you're no longer living a lie. You meet yourself as you are, not as your ego wishes to appear. 2. Trigger work. Every emotional trigger is an unopened letter from your unconscious. Instead of reacting, read it. Ask, who or what does this feeling remind me of? What belief is it connected to? When did I first feel this? 3. Inner dialogue. Speak to your shadow directly. Ask it what it wants, what it's protecting, how it learned to survive. Treat your darkness like a wounded child, not a demon. Because that's what it often is, an exiled part of your psyche that once got hurt, cast aside, forgotten. 4. Creative acts. The shadow speaks in images, symbols, stories. Engage it through writing, painting, music, dreams. Let your subconscious express what your intellect can't yet process. Your deepest truths aren't always logical, but they are true. 5. Shadow rituals. Create space for communion with the parts of you usually avoid. This could be journaling in the dark, speaking your shame aloud, meditating on your fears, or even writing letters from the perspective of your shadow self. Give it a voice so it doesn't have to scream. 6. Conscious rewiring. Don't just acknowledge the shadow, act differently. If your shadow reveals that you manipulate people to feel safe, then the new behavior is honesty. If you discover toxic envy, practice admiration. Real integration happens when insight meets courageous action. And perhaps most important, 7. Make it sacred. Stop pathologizing your darkness. Stop labeling yourself as broken. The shadow is not a flaw. It's a passage, a divine invitation to your fullest self. True spirituality begins not when you transcend the human experience, but when you embrace it entirely. Grief, rage, confusion, lust, silence, all of it. Carl Jung knew this wasn't an easy road. Few walk it, fewer complete it. But every mystic, every awakened soul, every truly alive human has walked the same path. Into the dark woods, into their fear, into themselves. So take a breath. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be. And ask, what part of me have I exiled that is now begging to return? When that voice begins to answer, listen. Because that sound, that cracking open, that terrible holy ache, that's the sound of the false self dying, and the real self being born. The ultimate truth, the final, most powerful realization. Not the silence of peace, the silence of truth. You're standing in the rubble of all your identities. The masks you've worn lie scattered on the floor. The righteous self, the broken child, the survivor, the villain, the victim, they've all spoken, all screamed, all wept. And now there is only stillness. This is the moment Carl Jung spoke of, not in clinical terms but in myth, in soul. He called it individuation, the becoming of a whole self. The joining of all opposites inside you, reconciled not by disappearance, but by sacred belonging. The ultimate truth is not that you're flawed and must be fixed. It is not that you are broken and must be saved. The ultimate truth, the terrifying, radiant, liberating truth, is this. You are not only what is good in you, and you never were. You are your light and your darkness, your compassion and your cruelty, your tenderness and your rage, your wisdom and your impulses, your sacredness and your profanity. Just as the sun casts a shadow, your brilliance casts darkness. And to deny your shadow is, in a way, to deny how deeply and powerfully you shine. What you feared, repressed, and ignored, your shadow, is not your enemy. It is your unlived life. All the choices you didn't make because you were afraid. All the cries for help you silenced. All the parts of yourself that didn't fit the image you wanted to project. They didn't die. They waited. And here's what Jung understood that so few do. The shadow is not trying to destroy you, it's trying to make you whole. Integration is not perfection. It's belonging to yourself. It's being able to sit with every part of who you are and say, even to your worst moments, I see you, and still you are mine. The shadow is not evil. Evil arises when the shadow is disowned. When we say, that's not me, we make it unconscious. And what's unconscious becomes distorted, dangerous, monstrous. But when we say, yes, that is also me, we depower its grip. We soften its hunger. It no longer needs to hijack us. It can return to its rightful place, within us, not beyond us. Integration doesn't make you a saint. It makes you real. You can feel anger without becoming cruel. You can touch power without becoming oppressive. You can enter grief without drowning in it. You can name your desires without being enslaved by them. You're no longer a puppet pulled by hidden strings. You're the one holding them, at last. And with this realization comes another. You begin to see the shadow in others too. And instead of judging them, you understand. You recognize their disowned parts mirroring your own. You see their projections, their pain, the cracked armor they've mistaken for themselves. And instead of condemnation, you offer compassion. Not because you're better, but because now, you recognize the pattern. The person full of rage might be a once voiceless child screaming for his truth. The one who controls everything may have once been left in chaos, grasping for safety. The arrogant, perhaps secretly shattered with shame. The weak, protecting a strength too sacred to expose. We all have shadows. The only question is whether we're brave enough to face them, or live as their marionette. And here's something deeper still, a truth that startles even the most awakened hearts. Your shadow contains not only your darkness, but your divinity, the repressed joy, the sexual aliveness you traded for order, the mystical curiosity replaced by certainty, the primal voice, the ecstatic scream, the anarchic love. These too were exiled. These too were deemed unsafe by a world terrified of wild aliveness. You didn't just hide your demons, you hid your gods. The shadow is not only the gate to pain, it is the doorway to transcendence, to soul, to God if you believe in such things, not the sanitized God of pews and shame, but the howling, holy, cosmically playful force that dares to make opposites coincide. The God who weeps, who rages, who births galaxies and collapses stars, and still calls it beauty. To meet your shadow is to meet that God, and to finally say, if I am to truly live, I cannot remain only half of myself. Think of every myth, every initiation, every rite of passage. The hero doesn't slay the dragon, he befriends it. The initiate doesn't destroy the beast, she absorbs its wisdom. The elder doesn't cast out the trickster, he dances with it under the moon. These stories are not fantasy. They are maps, planted deep in human consciousness. Reminders, warnings, invitations, and now, it's yours. The invitation is simple, not easy, but devastatingly simple. Stop running. Turn around. Face the voice inside you that says you're not enough, that you're too much, that you're broken or dangerous or unlovable or wrong. Face it with open eyes, with trembling hands, with a soft but terrifying courage. Face it not to silence it, but to hear its wisdom. And in that moment there is no guru, no self-help, no checklist or strategy or brand to evolve into. There is only the raw, unscripted self, whole, contradictory, human, divine. You will never be what the world told you to become. And that is your salvation. Because now, you are becoming what you always were. A soul no longer afraid of its own shadows. A being too wild to be defined, too true to be tamed. You are not light. You are not dark. You are the one who holds both. And that is real power. Let your shadow walk beside you now. Not behind. Not buried. Not feared. Take its hand. Not as the child of light. Not as the slave of shame. But as the one who is finally whole.